The Stranger Things finale just dropped, and we need to talk about what happened to 11. If you just finished Chapter 8, The Right Side Up, you're probably sitting there wondering, did 11 actually die or did she survive? Because that ending left us with one of the most emotionally devastating yet hopeful conclusions in television history. Let's break down everything we know about Eleven's apparent death and the brilliant illusion that Kaylee pulled off to save her. So here's what happened in those final moments. After the gang defeats Vecna and destroys the Upside Down, they load into the box truck to return to Hawkins before the bomb goes off. But when they get back to the right side up, Dr. K and the military round them up. In the chaos, 11 somehow makes it back into the Upside Down. She brings Mike into the void, and this is where it gets heartbreaking. 11 tells Mike that she's going to stay behind. She's accepted that as long as she's alive, this cycle will never end. The military will keep hunting her, more kids with powers will be exploited, and the nightmare will continue. In a tear-filled goodbye, 11 asks Mike to thank their friends for embracing her the way they did. She tells him she loves him. They share one final passionate kiss, and then 11 casts Mike out of the void. Mike and the others watch helplessly as the gate closes forever, with the Upside Down destroyed, and 11 seemingly taking her life by staying behind when the bomb goes off. Technically speaking, based on what everyone saw, 11 died in that moment. But here's where everything changes. The finale jumps forward to 1989, and we see the aftermath. Mike doesn't want to graduate with the rest of the group. He's destroyed by what happened, consumed by grief and anger. Hopper tries to tell him to accept 11's decision, to honor her sacrifice. Eventually, Mike goes to graduation with his friends, but you can tell he's not the same. None of them are. Then comes the moment that changes everything. Mike finally reveals that a spell was cast on everyone. Kaylee, who we all thought died earlier in the episode, pulled off one final illusion. She tricked Dr. K, the military, and even the entire party into thinking 11 had died. But it wasn't real. 11 didn't actually die in the Upside Down. It was all an illusion. Let's back up and talk about Kaylee's death, because that's crucial to understanding how this worked. Earlier in the finale, Lieutenant Akers shoots and kills Cawley after Hopper refuses to give up 11's location. We see Cawley bleeding out in the Hawkins Lab. 11 is devastated, losing her sister right in front of her eyes. But here's what we learn later. Kaylee didn't die instantly. She stayed alive just long enough to protect 11 one last time. As 11 was escaping from the military at Hawkins Lab, referred to as the Makesy Zed, Cawley used her illusion powers to create a decoy. She made it look like 11 went back into the Upside Down and stayed behind when the bombs went off. She made everyone see 11's death, made them believe it was real, made them grieve for her. And while everyone was watching this illusion, the real 11 escaped. Cawley gave her life to give 11 the one thing she'd never had: freedom. Now here's where it gets interesting. Mike doesn't know where 11 went. None of them do. But they choose to believe she's alive, and the finale shows us that they're right. We see 11 hiking through a remote location with 3 waterfalls. She's alive, she's free, and she's finally able to live the normal life she always wanted. No military hunting her, no more being used as a weapon, no more fighting interdimensional monsters. She's just Jane, a girl exploring the world. This ending is simultaneously beautiful and tragic. Yes, 11 is alive, but she can't come back. For this to work, for her to truly be safe, everyone has to believe she's dead. She can never contact Mike, can never see Hopper or Joyce again, can never hang out with Max or the party. Her freedom comes at the cost of every relationship she's ever had. She gets to live, but she has to live alone, or at least away from everyone who knows who she really is. Let's talk about the evidence that supports Mike's theory. First, we actually see the flashback showing how it happened. The show doesn't leave us guessing. We see Kaylee dying from her gunshot wound, using her last moments to create the illusion of 11's death, while the real 11 sneaks away. It's confirmation that Mike isn't just in denial, that this isn't the party lying to themselves to cope with grief. 11 really is alive. Second, There's the thematic brilliance of this ending. The entire season has been about Eleven's arc between Mike's idealistic worldview and Kaylee's cynical but realistic perspective. Mike always believed they could have a happy ending, that Eleven could save the world and still live a normal life. Kaylee argued that as long as Eleven was alive, the military would never stop hunting her, that there was no scenario where Eleven gets to be normal. The ending splits the difference. Eleven survives, but she can't have the life Mike envisioned with his 6 kids in the RV. She has to disappear, has to let everyone think she's dead, has to start over somewhere new. Third, this ending perfectly mirrors Eleven's journey throughout the entire series. She started as a weapon, a number, a girl who was told she only mattered because of her powers. Over 5 seasons, she learned what friendship means, what love feels like, what it means to be human. And now, at the end, she gets to just be human. No powers being used to fight monsters, no laboratory experiments, no destiny to fulfill. She's just a person, hiking through nature, seeing waterfalls, living quietly. It's what she deserves. But let's also talk about how devastating this is for the other characters. Mike has to live the rest of his life knowing Eleven is out there somewhere, but that he can never see her again. If he tries to find her, if any of them do, they risk exposing her location to the military or anyone else who might want to use her. Their love story doesn't get a happy ending where they ride off into the sunset together. It gets a bittersweet ending where Mike knows she's alive and safe, and that has to be enough. Hopper and Joyce have to live with losing another daughter. Yes, they know the truth, or at least believe it, but they can't act on it. They can't go find her, can't check that she's okay, can't be the parents she needed them to be. Max, Lucas, Dustin, Will, Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, Robin, all of them have to move forward with their lives, carrying the weight of Eleven's sacrifice, even knowing it might not have been a real death. There's something poetic about Kaylee being the one to save Eleven. Kaylee, who represented the cynical worldview, who wanted revenge, who didn't believe in happy endings. In her final act, she gave Eleven the closest thing to a happy ending possible in their reality. She didn't save Eleven so Eleven could keep fighting. She saved her so Eleven could finally rest, could finally be free. It's the ultimate act of love from one sister to another. The finale also shows us the party playing Dungeons and Dragons one more time, putting away their binders, passing the legacy to Holly and the younger kids. It's them moving on, growing up, accepting that this chapter of their lives is over. They beat Vecna, they saved the world, and they lost 11 in the process. Or at least that's what the world believes. Only they know the truth, and they're keeping that secret to protect her. Some people might see this ending as a cop-out, as the show not having the courage to actually kill 11. But I think it's actually more brutal this way. Death would have been final, tragic, but clean. This ending means 11 lives but has to give up everything and everyone she loves. She's alive but completely alone. She's free but isolated. It's a sacrifice that keeps on hurting. And for the viewers, we're left with this bittersweet feeling. We're happy she's alive, relieved she didn't actually die in that explosion. But we're also sad because we know what she's lost. We know she's out there somewhere, watching those waterfalls, living a quiet life but never able to share it with the people who loved her most. It's the definition of bittersweet. The Duffer Brothers said they weren't trying to shock or upset anyone with this finale, that it wasn't going to be a red wedding situation, and they kept that promise. But they still made us cry, they still broke our hearts. They just did it in a more subtle, more emotionally complex way. 11 gets to live, but the life she gets isn't the one we wanted for her. It's realistic, it's sad, and it's probably the best ending she could have hoped for given everything that happened. So, to answer the question, did 11 die? Technically, no. She's alive, hiking through remote locations, finally free from the cycle of violence and exploitation that defined her entire life. But in a way, Jane Hopper did die. The girl who loved Mike, who called Hopper Dad, who fought alongside her friends, that version of 11 had to disappear. She had to become someone new, someone unknown, someone the military can't find. and that's its own kind of death. The death of a life she could have had, the death of relationships she cherished, the death of the future she dreamed about. Kaylee's final gift to Eleven was the gift of anonymity, of invisibility, of a life lived in peace rather than constant danger. And Eleven took that gift and walked away from everything she knew. She's alive, but she's also gone. And we have to live with that, just like Mike and the rest of the party do. Sometimes survival isn't enough for a happy ending. Sometimes you survive, but you still lose everything that mattered. That's the reality Eleven is living with. That's the price of her freedom. And thanks to Kaylee's sacrifice, at least she's alive to pay it.